today's Tuesday teaching tip. Today's tip is part 4 in a series of not lessons but bits of information that I'm sharing with you that help you with your students who may have trouble focusing or paying attention. And so today I'm going to talk about what you do when you give instructions, whether it's instructions for daily household chores or instructions for schoolwork. If you find yourself saying, I told you that 1,000 times, or I've already told you that, and I've already explained that to you, then this little tidbit is for you. So when you find yourself saying that, there's some things that you can do to make sure when you give your child instructions, like I said, whether it's for schoolwork or housework, they're going to be a little bit more successful at completing those tasks. So the first thing you need to do is catch their attention. So an attention catcher can be something as simple as changing the tone, the inflection, or the volume of your voice. If you're a loud, exciting talker, then believe it or not, bringing your voice down to something that's super quiet and super calm grabs their attention, because it's like, why is mom talking so quietly? What's going on? That used to work for me in the classroom when I was instructing and we're doing different things and we're about to switch to something else, or I'm about to give them instruction to do something independently. I would go from this louder, more excited voice to something very quiet. Okay, boys and girls, so now I want you to listen really closely. And they had to listen really closely because I was talking so quietly in a room full of students. And so with my son, the same thing. If I was in a real calm tone, because I had one child, I had one student for homeschooling, and so my voice was normally at this level, then I would bring it up, or I would be in a more excited voice. Okay, Hayden, this is what we're going to do today. And it's like, wow, wait a minute, why mom went from cool, quiet tone to something excitable. So you can do something like that, or you can do something like have a noisemaker. It can be something as simple as a bell, and that really snaps them out of whatever it is that they're doing. Or one of my favorites was this rubber chicken squeak toy, and it was super loud and it had a super silly sound, and so when I would squeeze it, I could get the attention of 20-something students right away, and it kind of jump scares them out of whatever it was that they were focused on and onto now focused on me. So that's the first thing that you catch their attention. The second point before giving them instructions is to establish eye contact. So it's like, look at me so I know you're paying attention to me. Look at me so I know you're paying attention to me. And so that way they're not squirrel chasing, or they're not butterfly chasing. They're focused on you. Now, even though their eyes are on you, sometimes they're still not paying attention. So whenever you do give them instruction, it's really important to break your instructions down to smaller bits of information. And so those tasks or those instructions you give them, smaller bits or smaller steps. And so it's okay, when you do this assignment, the first thing I want you to do is put a date on it so that I can keep track of your work a little bit easier. The second thing is I want you to complete problems 1 and 2, then bring it back to me so I can check to see if you have an understanding. Okay, so what was that first step? And so you're breaking them down into smaller steps. Instead of just saying, okay, so today, finish your physics work and then come back to me when it's done, or turn it into me when it's done. Because a lot of times then they're going to space out. When you're giving instructions for household chores, make sure that they're not like these broad tasks, like, okay, make sure to do a load of laundry today. That's kind of a loaded task. You want to give them, break it down into smaller bits. So you're going to say, gather up all your whites, or gather up all your socks, or gather up all your jeans. And then, if it's enough to make a load, we're going to put it in the washer. When you're finished with the washer, make sure it goes into the dryer. Set the dryer on, give them specific instructions. Now, if they don't get that, either the schoolwork part or the household chore part, you can then have them written down on little cards. Like for us, it was the morning routine. Make sure your bed's made, make sure your teeth are brushed, make sure, so these certain things that we would do before we would start our day. And so I'd point to the thing, check your chart, and make sure we've done all these things. Later on in the evening, when it was time for him to have free time for games or computers, there was a list right by his computer, and it says stop. Before you get on, have you, and then there's a checklist. Have you fed the dog? Have you, gone outside and done your outside dog chore? Have you, so these different things that I want him to do before he can sit down and have some free time for himself. And so it's one of those things like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to tell you again. You know the things that you have to do before getting on your computer. And with kids who have an attention or focus problem, yeah, you've told them a whole bunch of times, but sometimes it just doesn't stick. So to save yourself that frustration, or to save yourself from having to repeat yourself, those little chore charts or those little instructions or do this first thing helps a lot with the frustration and not having to repeat yourself. All right. Whenever you do give them instructions, one of the things is to have them repeat back to you what you want them to do. Okay, so here's your work. What is it that I wanted you to do before you go back? Okay, you wanted me to complete, or make sure I put the date on there, and you wanted me to complete problems 1 and 2, right? What else? When you're finished with 1 and 2, when I'm finished with 1 and 2, bring it back to me so I can check to make sure you have an understanding. Okay, so tell me those again. So you have them repeat it to you, and then let them go on and do their work. So it's just having them repeat those instructions is part of that. Okay, I really have to pay attention. I really have to listen to mom because she's going to ask me to repeat the steps to her. So they're a little bit more focused there. Then when they're repeating them back to you, it's really settling in. It's really, it's helping them remember it a little bit more. So that helps a lot. All right. The next thing, like I said, the checklist. So I kind of got ahead of myself there with the checklist. So one of the things that you can do with the checklist for the younger kids is do the little picture icons too. And so if they're not at that reading level yet and they're younger kids, you can use pictures for each of the steps that you want them to do. A picture of writing the name on a paper, a picture of writing the date on their paper, a picture of complete problems, and then you can write a number, 1 through 3, then bring it back to mom. Or so you can still have some little pictures that helps the kids who are not yet at that reading stage in order to look at a checklist. All right, and so I hope those help a little bit with any of the struggling learners you have, any of the kiddos who have issues with paying attention or focusing on instructions that you're giving them either around the house or with schooling. Okay, so next week I will cover another topic when working with students who have trouble focusing or paying attention, and it's on scheduling. So how do you work your schedule to help your students become a little bit more successful in completing tasks and completing their schoolwork? So if you need anything before then, give me a call here at Feast or send an email at staff@homeschoolfeast.com, and I will try and get an answer back to you as soon as possible. I will see you next Tuesday.